Now we will discuss the language bioprogram hypothesis. One version of how innate processes operate in child, especially in child language, has been called the language bioprogram. Now, bioprogram, which is language bioprogram to be more precise, is the hypothesis proposed by Derek Bickerton. And according to language bioprogram hypothesis, it is about how looking at different creoles, that how they are created, how different creole languages are created, different similarities of these creole languages, and also the comparison of these with the first or the child language acquisition. By looking at all these things, one can have a fair conclusion and idea that how human race has developed language originally from many years ago or multiple millions and millions of years ago. So Bickerton's claim is that as children, we have an innate grammar that is available to us and that is biologically available to us. If our language is or language input is insufficient to acquire the language of our community. So in the absence of the input from the community, this innate language which is biologically available to us is what we refer to as the language bioprogram hypothesis. Now, in order to understand the language bioprogram hypothesis, it's important to know that what we mean by pidgin and creole. A pidgin is an auxiliary language that arises when speakers of several mutually unintelligible languages are in close contact. Typically, this occurs when workers from diverse countries are brought in as a cheap labor in an agricultural community. Immigrants, workers come to speak a similar form of the dominant language of that area, just enough to get by, basically to get works done or just for the functional purposes. Creole occurs when the children of these immigrants acquire a pidgin as their native language. Now, Creole is a fully developed language. Pidgin is not. Pidgin is never any person's native language. Now, it evolves among adults who are not the native, who are native speakers of different languages. In contrast, we see that Creole is a fully functional language of its own. Because access to native speakers of the dominant language is usually limited, now these children of the immigrants who develop Creole from the pidgin of their adults or their parents' language, now these children receive the impoverished pidgin version as their primary linguistic input. Bickerton observes that the conditions necessary to produce creoles have existed numerous times between 1500 and 1900 when various European nations developed labor-intensive agricultural economies on isolated, underpopulated tropical islands throughout the world. Bickerton's studies have focused on creoles in Hawaii. Now, he examined the language of immigrants who moved to Hawaii and that of their children who were born in the first 2 decades of the 20th century. The speech of pidgin speakers was rudimentary. In many cases, there was no recognizable syntax and the language resembled a linguistic free-for-all. Some speakers used one word order and the others another. The word orders were often related to the speaker's own native language. Moreover, complex sentences were absent in pidgin. Pidgin sentences had no subordinate clause, and even single clause utterances often lacked verbs. In addition, there was no consistent system of anaphora. So you see that some speakers used one word order and others another, and then we see the complex sentences. They were absent in Pidgin because Pidgin has a very limited grammatical structure which does not cater to the complex sentences or complex sentence forms which we can find in Creoles, because Creoles have full grammars and they are full language system. Thus, Creole languages are largely invented by children and show fundamental similarities which derive from biological program for languages. The structures of Hawaiian Pidgin and Hawaiian Creole are contrasted, and evidence is provided to show that the latter derived from the former in a single generation.